What's up, everybody? This is Dr. Zeb, and I am the proud pastor and founder of the Rehab Christian Center. Listen, this message in this video is twofold. One, let me thank you for all of your support for us during the COVID season that we've been experiencing. We're still not back in the building, but I can't say thank you enough to all of our members and to all of our partners near and far who have been instrumental in partnering with us and helping to engage with us and also helping to sow into our ministry on a consistent basis so that we can continue to do ministry the way we do it. So I'm grateful to you. I am certainly praying that the messages, that the ministry, that the teachings have been impactful to you in your life. I'm grateful and so grateful for all that you've done for us over this last 6-7 months. Because of your giving, we have been positioned now to go ahead and do some upgrades and some renovations to our equipment here in the building to prepare for a return back to the building. Don't know when we're coming back, but I do know that we're going to be coming back, and hopefully soon. And so we're working on some sound things and video things. We want to continue to bring this experience to you in both an in-person and virtual space. And so I'm grateful for your giving. It has made that possible, and I simply can't say thank you enough. Now, I want to challenge you. Here's the second reason. We are looking at this building and thinking about whether or not we're going to continue our journey here, if we're going to purchase this space, or if we're going to look to purchase and move on to another space. And so I'm here to introduce our capital campaign. I want to challenge you every single first Sunday, starting in December, to consider planting a $99 seed into our ministry. That's for members, that's for visitors, that's for people who frequent our ministry, who are not members, but they really enjoy the ministry that takes place here. I want to challenge you to sow a $99 seed every first Sunday. One of the things that we want to do is we want to show the banks and we want to show potential lenders that we are prepared for this next phase of ministry that God has us. And so I'm grateful. We'll be celebrating 8 years next August if the Lord wills us. And I want to position us to occupy the land. It might be this land, it might be another land, but I want to position us to occupy the land. And so you should see our mediums of giving on the screen right now. I want to challenge you every first Sunday, starting in December, to plant a $99 seed into this ministry. If this ministry has been a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to do it. If you're a member of this church, I absolutely am expecting you to continue to sow and plant into your ministry. And I promise you, God's going to bless you. How? Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, running over. He's going to send people to be a blessing to you because of how you blessed us. All right. And so don't forget the capital campaign. You have been challenged, and I'm grateful for what God's going to do because of your giving. Listen, I love you. I'm praying for you and your family. Peace and blessings. Good morning, Rehab. I am Dr. Talley, and it is so good to see you this morning. And thank you so much for tuning in to our live virtual Sunday morning experience. And I'm grateful to be here with you, and certainly praying that you've had a tremendous week and weekend so far. I'm very excited about today. One, because I get somewhat of a break in that today you get to preach to me, and you get to submit your questions, whatever questions you have. And I'm going to answer those questions. We call this Ask Me Anything at Rehab. We've been doing this for years, and something that the Lord really laid on my spirit years ago and dropped in my heart because so many people have frequented church all their lives and have never been able to ask questions about stuff that they want to know. And there is a spiritual answer for anything, any question you may have. And if you know me or have known me in any kind of intimate way, you know that there is really not a topic that I don't mind addressing. There's not a conversation I don't mind having. And so I love today. I love when we do Ask Me Anything. And this is only the second time we've done it in the virtual space. We did it a few months ago, I think back in January, and was requested that I do it again. And so I wanted to bring you Ask Me Anything again this Sunday, and that's what we're going to do. So if you are going to participate, if you're going to submit a question on Ask Me Anything, what I need you to do is email your question to info@rehabcc.org. All right. Email your question to info@rehabcc.org. In the subject line, put Ask Me Anything. All right. Email your question. Go ahead and start getting your questions together now. We're going to still go through the declaration, but start getting your questions together now. Email your question to info@rehabcc.org. That's info@rehabcc.org. And the subject line has to be Ask Me Anything. Once that happens, it should get rerouted to me. And then we'll be prepared to go through these questions, and we'll try to get through as many questions as we can today during this session. But I'm excited. I love Ask Me Anything. This is certainly something that I enjoy doing. So if you have not already, I need you to tag 5 people. I need you to like this video, share this video. Let's get going. I'm going to walk through all of the channels as I always do so that we can get ready to get into declaration and then get ready to get into this Ask Me Anything session. But again, if you've got a question that you want me to answer, the question can be about anything. There's nothing off limits. If it's something I need to reword so people can understand it, I'll do that. Whatever, just email the question. If you've got a question about anything, life, work, relationships, whatever, I don't care. You can email the question, and I'm going to give you a spiritual answer for that question. And this is just something I love doing. I enjoy doing, and I'm just grateful and excited to do this today. So again, email your question, info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, Ask Me Anything. And we want to make sure that we get to your question today. And we're going to get to as many questions as we can in about 60 minutes. All right. We're going to try our best to do that. So Facebook, good morning to you. It is so good to see you virtually. Thank you so much for tuning in, Facebook. If you have not already, make sure you like this video or hold that like button down and turn it into a love. And then I want you to share this video on your page. I want you to tag 5 people on your page, Facebook, and tell them to tune in with us this morning for a very powerful Ask Me Anything Sunday. I'm so excited. It's first Sunday. It's Communion Sunday in most traditional spaces. But I really wanted this format to be able to answer your questions. And I'm excited. I really enjoy this this format. And I believe questions are coming in already. You all can hear some chimes. And so I think the questions are already rolling in, and that's great. I'm excited. So good morning, Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. Like this video, share this video, tag 5 people, hit the @ symbol, tag 5 people, tell them to tune in. Instagram, good morning to you. Good to see you virtually this morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are tuned in and see me on Instagram, make sure you hit that heart button and hold it down. Let me know that you're tuned in. And then while you're on Instagram, hit the @ symbol. I want you to go down your friends list. I want you to tag 5 people on your friends list, Instagram, and tell them to tune in. This is going to be powerful. This is going to be an exciting Sunday, and I'm excited to share with you this morning and hear your questions, what questions you want to ask me so that we can talk about them from a spiritual perspective. And this is going to be great. So again, good morning, Instagram, hit the heart button, hit the @ symbol. I need you to tag 5 people quickly, tell them to tune in, tag 5 people who have never been to church before, even if you want to do that, and tell them to tune in. This is going to be a very special session today, and I'm excited. YouTube, good morning to you. It's good to see you virtually. Thank you so much for tuning in. Those that are tuned in via YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us in that way and on that station. If you have not already, and this is everybody, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do that. You can find us on YouTube at TheREHABCC. That's at TheREHABCC on YouTube. You can find us there. So make sure you like our channel, subscribe to our channel, like this video. And then right on YouTube, I want you to tag some people, tag 5 people, share this video, share the link, and tell 5 people to tune in this morning for what will be a very powerful and exciting and hopefully thought-provoking time. Now, I want to just put this out there. I need you guys to ask me some questions. Don't be afraid. I'm not afraid to talk about anything. And I've shared this with you all at the beginning of the broadcast, and I'll repeat it again. That's probably to my benefit and sometimes my detriment. There's not a conversation I'm not willing to have. And so I want you to make sure you submit your questions. You can submit your questions to info@rehabcc.org. That's info@rehabcc.org. Submit your question there. The subject line needs to say, Ask Me Anything. So it's routed to me. So it's routed to my email. And then we're going to get that question, and we're going to try to go through as many questions as we can in the next 60 minutes. All right. And so again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not already liked this video, share this video with 5 people. We're preparing for the declaration. I'm getting ready to walk us through that. And so if you have not already, make sure you like this video, share this video with 5 people. Tell them to tune in because we're going to go through declaration. I'm going to give you again another chance to start submitting your questions. If you have not submitted your questions already, start submitting your questions. I need somebody to put it in the comments. info@rehabcc.org, subject line, ask me anything. You can submit your question that way. And as soon as we get through declaration and greet you again, we're going to get right into the questions. And y'all, come on, make it hard for me today. Make me sweat a little bit. Ask some questions today that will make us all think. And I'm excited about that. That's where growth is. Growth is not in not being challenged. Growth comes when we really have challenging, thought-provoking conversations. This is something that I've always shared with Rehab. Growth doesn't come through a dance. Shouting is fun, but ain't no growth in shouting. Growth is when you think. It's when you are challenged to think through problems and think through issues and consider situations in ways that maybe you have not considered them before. That's where growth is. And I'm excited to share this today, to share this format with you today. And if you've never experienced anything like this at church, you're going to enjoy this. I promise you. I just need y'all to submit some questions. All right, let's get into the declaration. I feel like I'm running my mouth already too much this morning. All right, let's get into the declaration. You know how we do every Sunday. We do our declaration. And I ask all of you to just repeat after me. I read slow so that you can repeat after me. But we understand the power of declaration and the power of not only what we say, but the energy behind what we say, the spirit of which behind we say, the spirit of which we put behind the words that we say, tongue-tied. And so I want you to not only say the declaration this morning, but I need you wherever you are, at home, in your kitchen, in bed, driving, wherever. I need you to say the declaration like you absolutely believe it. And I believe God's going to do some things, special things in your life. Let's do the declaration. Y'all ready? Let's do it. Let's start with restore. Restore. Say it with me. We declare that everything that is broken, lost, hurt, or destroyed that belongs to us and has been designed by God is restored. My faith is restored. My joy is restored. My mind is restored. Even my lost time is restored. I am no longer broken. The fact that I'm alive means I have another chance. My faith has restored me. And right now, His love is making me whole. Evangelize. Say it with me. We declare that God helped us so we can help somebody else. He loved me when I was unlovable. He changed me when I was a mess. His love lifted me when I was down. I'm not perfect, but I'm free. And anything that came for me can't keep me. Because I'm free, my circle is next. My family is saved. My friends are blessed. My plans are successful. My goals are ahead of schedule. And anything connected to me is blessed, just like me. Hope. Say it with me. We declare that everything that is missing is not lost. In Jesus, I have hope. And this hope makes me confident. It doesn't matter what happens to me or around me. I'm going to win. My relationships are winning. My goals are winning. My family is winning. My neighbor is winning. This city will win. And my row has the victory. My past is defeated. And my future is brighter today than it was yesterday. alternatives. Say it with me. We declare that God made us different. I'm a royal child, the light of the world, and the hope of my city. I respect the past, but I don't look like what I've been through. I love the church, and my life is balanced. I love coming to church, but I like flights, boats, and vacations. My whole life is blessed. I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am a lender, not a borrower. And every place I go belongs to me. Breakthrough. Say it with me. We declare that God has a breakthrough with our name on it. I have some challenges, but I am not defeated. No weapon formed against me can prosper. And I know that all things are working for my good. Things are not breaking down. They are about to break through. There is a breakthrough in my career. There is a breakthrough in my home. There is a breakthrough in my health. There is a breakthrough in my finances. I am here on purpose, for a purpose, and everything that went wrong is getting ready to turn around. Did y'all declare these things with me this morning? If you did, I need you to put in the comments, as we always do, as we've done every single Sunday in 2021, it's already done. Would you type that for me? It's already done. It's already done. I'm here to tell you that if you made that declaration and if you said it with your chest and you really meant everything you said, you've already put into action the things that you need from God. God's already done it. It's already happening. It's already in motion right now. And you got one job, and that is to simply believe that it's already happened. Come on, type it quickly. It's already done. It's already done. God's answering your prayers. God's making a way. God's opening up doors. God's meeting needs as only He can. And I'm so excited. Listen, it's already done. It's already done. I'm telling you, I have peeked over into your future. And I want you to know, if you have not seen your future yet, it's going to be better than what you're dealing with right now. I want you to be excited. I want you to be excited and understand that God is working things out for your good, in your favor. And all you have to do is believe that it's already done. Come on, y'all. Type it if you have not already. It's already done. If you have not tagged 5 people and invited them to church, do it quickly. It's already done. If you have not submitted your question, I see a few questions. I'm flipping screens over here. I got about 6 things going on at once. I see a few questions that have come in, but I want you to make sure you submit your question. If you have not already, you can submit your question to info@rehabcc.org. That's info@rehabcc.org. Don't worry about including your name. None of that stuff is going to be read. None of that. Subject line, ask me anything, and just submit your question. Again, submit your question to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, ask me anything. And then that email is going to get routed to me, and I want to read your question and answer any question you have over the next, let's say, 55 minutes. I'm going to get through as many questions as I can, but I'm already starting to see questions come in. And so if you have not already, submit your question. Again, no question is off limits. Some of you are saying, Pastor, why do we do this? I started this years ago because I know a lot of people have gone to church, have been a part of ministries for years, church for years, and it felt like there were certain questions they just couldn't ask, certain topics that they could not cover. If you've ever been to rehab, we talk about everything from baptism to sex. It don't matter, and everything in between. And there is a spiritual answer for everything that you have ever wondered about. everything that you are going through. And I'm excited today just to give up sermon time and to really answer any questions you have that might require a spiritual answer, that you desire a spiritual answer for. And I'm excited. So again, if you have not already, email your question to info@rehabcc.org. Email your question to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, ask me anything. Subject line, ask me anything. And if you have not already, I need you to invite 5 people to church quickly because I'm getting ready to get into these questions. I'm going to try my best to go back and forth on this Super Seed Sunday. This is First Sunday. It's Super Seed Sunday. And every first Sunday, we sow a $99 seed. And so I want to challenge all of you. If this ministry has been a blessing to you, certainly as we're looking around the corner to coming back into the building, if this ministry has been a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to be a blessing to us. And the Lord will certainly bless you. And so thank you so much for tuning in. And again, like this video, share this video, tag 5 people if you haven't already. But I want to get into this and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to answer some questions. So while I start to read these questions and answer them, again, as you have questions, feel free to go ahead and submit them. And I'm going to try to get through as many as I can. All right. First question that I see here. It's a really good question. It's a good question, but it's a good question. This is a really good question. Let me just say that. The question is, why is God so faithful when we disobey him and go against his will sometimes? Why is God so faithful when we disobey him and go against his will sometimes? The answer is simple. It's because he's a good God. And you know, one of the beautiful things about this question, because I can certainly feel the heart of the person who asked this question. One of the beautiful things about God is he is one of, if not the best, he is the best. How can I put this? He is the best at taking your sins and putting them in the sea of forgiveness. And this is one of the challenges, I'll be frank with you, that a lot of people have with church, because a lot of people feel like, well, you know, I messed up. I'm not really doing what I should be doing. I'm not really, you know, living the way I should be living. I'm not really, you know, carrying myself the way I should be carrying myself. So what's the use? Why go to church, you know, to a place where you're supposed to have it all together and you know, or go to a place where you're doing all these things on the side, but you're shouting, you're singing, you know, you're waving your hand on Sundays and Tuesdays. Why even go? But it's important for us to understand, and this really connects to the question. It's important for us to understand that church is a hospital. It is a hospital filled with sick and crazy people. And some hospitals have more crazy people than others. Rehab got a lot of crazy people in our church. We do. But this is really the root and the foundation of why God continues to be good to us and continues to sustain us and be faithful to us when we disobey him. And that is because anytime you give your life to him, you become a child of his. And when you become a child of his, think about this in the context of parenting. If you're a good parent, just because your kids mess up doesn't mean you throw your kids away. You don't throw your kids away because your kids mess up, or because your kids don't do something that you approve of, or because your kids don't, you know, major in something you want them to major in, or become something you want them to become. You don't throw the kid away, I hope. Now, there are some parents that do it, unfortunately, but you don't do that. You love the kid through their decisions, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. A good parent loves their children through their decisions. And that's why God continues to be faithful to us. He's faithful to us just as a father is faithful to his son, or a father is faithful to his daughter, or a mother is faithful to her son or daughter. He's good to us. He's faithful to us because when you're his child, that's what a good father does. And so I want to encourage you. Now, the person that wrote the question, and those of you that are tuned in, I want to encourage you to understand this. And this is so critically important. There is nothing you can do in your personal life that is so bad that God won't continue to be faithful to you. I'm going to say it again. There is nothing. I'm giving y'all nuggets if y'all want to type in comments. There is nothing that you can do in your life to yourself,
to other people, nothing. There's nothing that you can do that God will not continue to be faithful to you right in the middle of it, right in the midst of it. God is so good that he will continue to be faithful to you even when you ain't paying him no mind. Even when you're in church with one foot, you got the other foot out somewhere else. He will continue to be faithful and honor his commitment to you. And because he is so faithful, that's one of the many reasons why we serve him. And so again, I don't want any of you to ever get to a place where you feel like things are so bad that you've made so many mistakes that you've gone so far to the left that you cannot still be loved by a faithful God, that you cannot still be watched by a faithful God. This is why I don't let people look at people any kind of way when they come to church, because they know of that person's past, or they know of that person's present, or they know what that person's currently doing. Nah, none of us, number one, have a right to turn up our nose at anybody. That's number one. Number two, the church, all of us have a right to continue to come through the doors, whether it's virtually or face-to-face, and get what we need from God so that we can continue to grow, because God is faithful to us. He's not like people. Now think about it. Most people that are connected to you, you mess up with them once, they might forgive you. Mess up with them twice, maybe they'll still forgive you. 3-4 times, most of us getting cut off. Most of you are going to get cut off when you mess up with somebody 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And many of us have messed up with God so many times that we lost count. I know I have. Maybe y'all haven't. But I've messed up that after about, time number 40, I just lost count. I can't remember what time I'm on. And people would not accept you back. People would not accept you back if you continue to do things to them over and over and over again. And that's the difference between God and people. God's not like people. Thank God. He's not like people, because you can mess up over and over again, but he has proven himself to be a faithful God. He's proven himself to be a God that gives you 2nd, 3rd, 20th, 40th, 60th chances. And for that reason, we have an obligation to serve him. All right. I hope I answered that question in a thorough way. Again, if you've got a question, today is Ask Me Anything Sunday. If you've got a question, email your question to info@rehabcc.org. I'm talking and I'm flipping back and forth through tabs, and there's some more questions that have come through. But again, I want to encourage all of you. If you've got a question, email your question to info@rehabcc.org. That's info@rehabcc.org. And I'll tell you this, that faithfulness question is a powerful one. And I'll be honest with you, it's a question that I struggle with even as a pastor, because one of the things I have to do as a pastor is I am challenged to learn how to be faithful to people who aren't even faithful to me. Now, I can really take this question so many ways, but pastoring in so many ways is really such a demonstration of who God is. It has to be. Long-suffering, patient, kind, can take a lot, faithful in spite of, that question really strikes a chord with me as a pastor, because there are a lot of days I want to cut people off because they ain't paying me no attention. I want to cut people off because they ain't doing right by me or the church, no way. So, bye. And I have to really watch that, because God's faithful to us when we don't do all the things we're supposed to do, right? And so as a pastor and as a leader, you have to be that way. As a supervisor, as a manager, if you're supervising people on your job, you have to be faithful to your employees even when they ain't doing everything they're supposed to be doing, or they're not, handling their tasks well, or doing their jobs or understanding their responsibilities well. Why? Because part of being a good leader is being faithful to people beyond where they are. Now, it's not fair. That's why pastoring is oftentimes considered a thankless job. I mean, you loving people that ain't thinking about you. You trying to be faithful to people and do for people that have checked out months ago. It's a very thankless job, but that is also the job of a parent. A parent has to love their kid even when they're having cycles, even when they're having moments, even when they're flashing in and flashing out. A good parent is going to love their kid through all of that. And that's why pastoring is not easy. That's why parenting is not easy. That's why managing is not easy. That's why supervising is not easy, because you have to learn how to be faithful in spite of. And that's what God is to us. All right, good. I hope I've answered that question well. Again, email your question to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, Ask Me Anything. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm looking for the next question. I'm trying to go in order. All right, next question. Give me a second to read it first. All right, good. This question says, during times when I am overwhelmed and stressed, I have felt something that it's hard to describe. I have self-declared that those times as a spiritual battle. Why do you think I would classify it as such? And how should I proceed during those times? I want to read this question again. This is a really good question. During those times when I am overwhelmed and stressed, I have felt something that is hard to describe. I'm going to come back to that in a second. I have self-declared those times as a spiritual battle. Why do you think I would classify it as such? And how should I proceed during those times? Well, oftentimes when we are in spiritual battles, they are hard to describe. And the reason they're hard to describe is because the Bible tells us that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness, principalities, the rulers of the air, in spaces that we can't see. And this is important. When you are in a spiritual battle, sometimes you are fighting things that are bigger than you are. You're fighting things that are bigger than what you understand. And oftentimes we are being attacked in ways that are very unconventional. And so when you're in a spiritual battle, and in church lingo, they call it spiritual warfare. Now, but when you're in a spiritual battle, you are in a space where things are trying to come against the relationship you have with God. Let's just simplify it. Y'all know I master in taking complicated things and making them real simple. Spiritual warfare is nothing more than a battle against something that's trying to overtake your relationship with God. That's it. I want to say it again. Spiritual warfare, a spiritual battle, is nothing more than a battle against something that is attempting to overcome your relationship with God. That's it. It can be spiritual warfare, against a habit. It can be spiritual warfare against people. It can be spiritual warfare against your family. It can be spiritual warfare, I don't know, against a lot of stuff. But whatever it is a battle that is attempting to overcome your relationship with God. That's it. So when we think about it, let me get back to that question. When we think about your question, when we say, I have self-declared those times as a spiritual battle, why do you think I would classify it as such? The reason you would is simple. When you've got a relationship with God and you know you've got his presence inside of you, you know, your spirit knows when it's under attack. And this is why this is really good. This is why spiritual sensitivity is important. It is incredibly important to be spiritually sensitive to the things that are not only within you, but the things that are around you. Now, there's a difference. Let me stick my pen here for a second. There is a difference between being spiritually sensitive and being spiritually dramatic. All right. There's a difference between being spiritually sensitive, being spiritually dramatic. Again, submit your question, info@rehabcc.org, subject line, ask me anything. I'm answering questions today. So whatever your question is, submit it. So you have to be spiritually sensitive, right? When you're spiritually sensitive, you're spiritually aware, right? And so your spirit knows when something is off. And sometimes you can't even point to what's fighting your spirit. You just know that your spirit feels uneasy, right? Your energy inside of you, it feels uneasy. And the reason it does is because there is probably something around you, in you, connected to you, in some kind of way that really is trying to attack the God that's in you. Again, spiritual warfare, spiritual battles are nothing more than attacks against your relationship with God. That's a simple way to understand it in a very condensed frame of time. All right. And so you classified it as that because your spirit is off. And think about it. Listen, let me give you a natural example. Have you ever, have you ever wanted to go somewhere, right? You were planning, I don't know, you were planning to go somewhere. Maybe you were planning, you wanted to go, out of town for the weekend or something. Wanted to plan, I'm just making this up. You wanted to go out of town for the weekend, and you set the plans, you set your hotel stuff, you set your flight stuff if you were flying. You did all of this stuff. And as you were preparing to go, something just felt uneasy inside of you, right? It was just, you just didn't feel at ease. You didn't feel comfortable. Something didn't feel right. It wasn't that you couldn't afford the trip. You paid for it in advance. It wasn't that you didn't have time. You blocked your schedule. but you just felt an uneasiness inside of you, right? And so maybe you canceled the trip. I've done this. This is the God's honest truth. I've done this. And so you've canceled the trip because you just wasn't feeling it. Something just didn't feel right, whatever. And then you look up and that weekend, instead of you being where you could have been, you end up getting sick. Say you get sick at your house and you end up having a very bad weekend because you ended up getting sick. And then you start thinking to yourself, wow, if I would have gone out of town for this fun trip and gotten sick, the whole trip would have been ruined. And so maybe the uneasiness was the sense that something was ahead. I compare what we feel in our spirits when we're under warfare to that very simple example. Sometimes you can't put your finger on what's wrong, but the spirit inside of you will start nudging you and saying something ain't right. Something ain't right. And those of you that's got God's presence inside of you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you cannot put your finger on it, but you get a nudge from the spirit inside of you saying something ain't right here. Something's not right around that corner. Something's not right in that space. Don't go that direction. Go that direction. And so we label it as such. I believe we label it as such because we know that inside of us, something's not right. All right. And so how do we proceed in those times? Let me give you several things that I want you to think about. And again, I'm just going through the questions she asked so that I can really break down and answer every question. This is the last part of it. How should I proceed? If I classify it as this, I feel this unease in my spirit. How do I proceed? Number one, you got to be dedicated to a life of praying. You have to be dedicated to a life of praying. It's so important because I'm here to tell you, many people are trying to fight a spiritual battle without prayer. How can you fight a spiritual battle without prayer? What's prayer? Prayer is communication with God. Prayer is communication with God. As you communicate with him, he begins to then give you instructions concerning what you're dealing with. He begins to sometimes make clear those things that seem a little fuzzy that you don't understand. So first, you need to be dedicated to a life of prayer. It's so important, right? Dedicated to a life of spiritual communication with God. That's one. Number two, watch this. This is going to shock you. You need to be dedicated to a life, some time of isolation. You need to be dedicated to some time in isolation. What do you mean, Pastor, by some time in isolation? Sometimes we can't hear God because we got too much noise around us. Sometimes there's too much noise in our life, our families, work, social media, relationships, whatever. Sometimes there's so much noise around you that you can't hear God. This is Bible. God reminded us in the Old Testament that sometimes when he speaks to us, it's not through the wind, it's not through the tornado, it's not through the storm, it's not through the rain, it's through a still small voice. And the only way you can hear a still small voice is if you spend some time in isolation with God. This is important. All of you need to spend some time, and y'all know I'm a big advocate of this. You need to spend some time with your phone off sometimes, off social media sometimes, going out to eat by yourself sometimes, some quiet time with the TV off sometimes. Lord knows I love the TV. I'll keep it on ESPN all day and just let it run. But sometimes you need to cut the TV off. You need some time in prayer and meditation, which is just simply putting your mind in the moment. You need some isolated time with God so that you can hear him. So one, we need some time dedicated to prayer. Two, we need some time in isolation so that we can hear God. And here's three, and this is very important. We need to spend some time reading his word. We need to spend some time reading his word. Let me tell you something that I've discovered about being in spiritual battles. When I am in spiritual battles, as I read God's word and meditate on his word, then he begins to make clear to me some things that don't make sense. So again, go back to the statement that I made about being in spiritual warfare, but no communication with God. Some of us are trying to fight spiritual battles without prayer. We're trying to fight spiritual battles without a connection to God. And so as you read his word and as you spend some time just meditating on his word, you will see that as you set your mind in his word and go about your day, things will happen in the day that will then begin to bring some clarity to the stuff that you're dealing with. And it's not, hocus pocus. It, doesn't happen by osmosis. It really happens because you have set your mind intentionally. Thy word have I hid in my heart. You have set your mind intentionally to hide his word in your heart, so that as you go about your day and as you're trying to get through your day, but in your spirit, you're battling these things, you will begin to then discover through his word that's already inside of you. As you go through your day, you'll begin to see things happen that start to make things make sense in your life. Why? Because you're not just living day to day, wandering aimlessly. You're living throughout the day with his word inside of you. You spent some time in prayer. We've spent some isolated time stepping back from situations. Some of us can't solve situations because we're too close to them. Some of you cannot, get through situations with a clear head because you're too close to the situation. You talk to any good therapist, they'll tell you that the best way to get through a situation is to step back from it. Sometimes you need to step back from it so that you can see the situation clearly for what it is, and then you can navigate through. So that step 2 in isolation, or spending time in isolation, doesn't mean being a hermit. It means taking a step back so that you can survey the situation and see it in a very objective way. And then thirdly, spending time in God's word. If you do those things, it doesn't mean you won't go through spiritual battles. Here's the reality. Spiritual battles will come. If you're a believer and you proclaim to love God, spiritual battles are going to come, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. They're going to come. But you can also make sure you are prepared. You are equipped to be able to handle the battles that come your way. And how do we get equipped? We get equipped through prayer. We get equipped through isolating ourselves at some points in our lives so that we can really hear God. And we get equipped by spending time in his word. If you do those things, I'm here to tell you, battles are going to come, but you won't lose the battle. All right. I hope I answered that question well. Y'all, if you got a question, I need you to submit your question. I need some water, Lord. I feel like I'm preaching. I need you to submit your question to info@rehabcc.org. info@rehabcc.org. If you have a question, this is Ask Me Anything Sunday. If you have a question, I want you to submit your question to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, Ask Me Anything. Again, this is Super Sunday. See it on the screen. And so certainly feel free at any time to sow your $99 seed. We are so grateful for your support, especially those of you who have so many non-members near and far who've never even set foot in our building, who continue to support our ministry. And we are grateful for you today. And I want to certainly say thank you to you for your support. But again, submit your question to info@rehabcc.org, and we're going to try our best to get through to it. All right, let's go to the next question. I'm doing great on time. All right. I think this person is really trying to get me started because I know who this person is who asked this question. And I really think she's trying to get me worked up. I know this is why she asked me this question. Y'all don't y'all play with me this morning. The question is, why do people stay in a ministry that they are not growing in? Why do people stay in a ministry? Why do people stay in a ministry that they are not growing in? I know this person is really trying to just push my buttons because they know I just be saying crazy stuff. But I'm going to be cool today. I'm going to keep it cute today. Why do people stay in a ministry that they know they're not growing in? It's a number of reasons. A lot of people, some people are affiliated with ministries out of what I call birth obligation, right? You have people who were born into certain denominations, right? And I'm not picking on Baptist denomination, but we've all heard the phrase Baptist born, Baptist bred, when I die, I'll be Baptist dead, right? We've all heard that phrase before. But that denomination is notorious for people being born in that denomination and just saying, hey, I'm gonna be a Baptist forever, I'll never change. And there's really no real premise behind it other than just you were born in the Baptist church, you were raised in the Baptist church, and you hear that phrase and you stay in the Baptist church forever. And there are other phrases, denominations too that have similar kind of mindsets, or not mindsets, have similar kinds of thoughts about being in that particular movement, right? So this isn't picking on Baptist folks. This can go across many denominations. So to answer the question, for some people, they're born in a denomination, they stay in that denomination, right? So it's a matter of them being born in. For other people, I really don't know. I'll tell you, it's a mystery. It has always been a mystery for me as a pastor. I was born in church practically. My father is a pastor. My grandfather was a bishop. And, I've seen a lot in church. And I'll tell you, I think a lot of people who are in a church that they're not growing in, or they don't feel satisfied in, or they're mad with, I think I can add to that list. A lot of those people stay. I don't know why. Some of them stay just to give everybody else a hard time and get on everybody else's nerves. And this person is really trying me. This person is really trying me, and I'm really trying to be nice. I want to say this. In my personal life, I've always had a personal mantra that you should never stay where you're not happy. Okay? You should never stay where you're not happy. If you work in a job that you can't stand, and you're not happy with the job, maybe you shouldn't be there. Now, don't take what I'm saying. Pastor said I ain't happy, I'm leaving. That was my sign, God. I've been waiting on you. That was my sign. That's not what Pastor's saying. I'm talking about an extended, prolonged period of happiness. I'm not talking about having a bad day. Some of y'all looking for a reason to leave your job. I'm not talking about that, right? So hear me in context. The context is really important. I'm not talking about having a bad day every now and then on a job. I don't care how much you like a job. You can be on a job that you really, 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 really like. But every now and then you're going to have a bad day. And that's okay, right? No job is perfect. No church is perfect. No relationship is perfect. No marriage is perfect. You're going to have a bad day, right? So I'm not talking about having a bad day every now and then. I'm talking about people who go back to jobs. You've been on this job for the last 10 years. And 9 of the 10 years, you ain't been able to stay in the job. My question is simple. Why are you still there? So I'm answering this question with a question. I'll be honest with you. I don't know why. I think people do it because some feel like they ought to stay out of obligation. I've been in this church all my life. I got to stay in this church. I was talking to a young lady, this was a few weeks ago, who made a church change, and she left the church that she had been a part of for most of her life, and made a church change, her and a few other folks, and was really criticized by people for making that change. But it was a change because she felt like she had hit a wall where she wasn't growing anymore, and she needed something different to continue to grow. And I understand that. Look, if you can outgrow your shoes, you can outgrow the teaching that you're receiving. You can. And a lot of pastors get offended by this. I know I'm going to get in trouble. I always say stuff that people normally don't agree with. That's fine. I'm a different pastor. But, a lot of pastors get offended. But this is the pastor's job. The pastor's job in all of this is to continue to grow. Right? The pastor has to continue to grow. The pastor's teaching has to continue to grow. The pastor's preaching has to continue to grow. The pastor's perspective and insight has to continue to grow. Right? If that happens, then don't get offended when people can no longer fit the shoes you bought them. Don't get offended when people can no longer fit the shoes that you bought them. They outgrew them. And it doesn't mean that your pair of shoes was bad. See, where this question gets real murky is not that people outgrow a ministry, right? Or teaching. Let me get back to the question. Why do people stay in a ministry where they are not growing in? The issue is not that people aren't growing through the teaching. The issue is in how they leave. The issue is not in leaving or outgrowing a ministry or not feeling like you're growing in the ministry anymore. The issue is saying, well, I'm going to pack my bag because I ain't getting nothing out of this ministry. That's not true. You're getting something. And chances are you got something or you wouldn't have been there in the first place. Right? So people leave ministries and be like, I had to leave because I ain't getting nothing. You lying. You're telling a lie. you obviously were getting something because you were there. So when you leave, it's about leaving the right way and saying, hey, I'm leaving. And I feel like, spiritually, my time has collapsed here. And I'm not really growing the way I need to grow spiritually. And it's not that I have not received spiritually here, but there's more that I'm looking for. And if you are sincere about that, because some people, look, y'all, I've been in the church game a long time. Some people hit you with the I ain't growing spiritually stuff as a reason to leave, when really they leave because they're mad at somebody. Now, I mean, if we're going to just keep this 100, let's just go ahead and keep it 100. Now y'all waking me up. Some people be leaving, be like, I'm leaving because I ain't growing. But you really leaving because you don't like, pastor's wife. Or you don't like such and such that work that's over the usher ministry. Or you upset because pastor ain't open the church again yet. I will not be petty today. Come on, just tell the truth. And then y'all leave be like, well, I just wasn't growing, child. I just wasn't growing. I just wasn't getting what I needed, child. That's a lie. Because we got tapes. We got proof that you was one of the ones falling out on the floor. You was one of the ones boohooing, crying. You was one of the ones putting up posts talking about Pastor Show they preached today. Y'all got to stop that. Be honest. If you are honestly leaving for a reason other than growth, just say that. And see, that's where people mess up. People don't want to be honest. Y'all know I'm going to keep it 100. I don't care if you don't like it. It's just who I am. It's just who I am. I keep receipts. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. But understand some of we say sometimes, and I'm not picking on the person who wrote this question, because I know the person who wrote this question and I know they meant it in the right way and in a certain way, but I also know that they really trying to poke the bear and it's working. Some people do leave ministries because of spiritual growth, and they legitimately leave for that reason, and it's legitimate, and God continues to bless them for that. But let me tell you something, and I want to put this out there, and some of y'all ain't going to agree with this, but I'm going to go on and step out there, and I'm going to defend every single pastor who has had people leave their church and say, I'm leaving because I ain't growing, but they really was leaving for other reasons. Let me tell you something. If you leave a ministry where you're getting fed and you're growing, and you tell that pastor you are leaving because you're not growing and you're not getting fed, the same problems you had in that ministry will follow you in the next ministry. I'm going to say this again slow. If you leave any ministry where you are growing, but you tell that pastor, him or her, I'm leaving because I'm not growing. I ain't get what I need. But meanwhile, you getting fed. The pastor's preaching a word that's feeding, that's challenging you. But you tell them that, you tell her that, but you really leaving for something else. In other words, you lying. The same issues you had at that church, you ain't gonna do nothing but take them same issues to the next church. And that's where we get the term church hopper. That's where we get the term church hopper. Because I don't care if it's a church. I don't care if it's your job. I don't care if it's your marriage. I don't care if it's your relationship. I don't care what it is. There is no such a thing as a perfect church. There's no such a thing as a perfect marriage. There's no such thing as a perfect relationship. There's no such thing as a perfect job. So when you are thinking about having bad days because you ain't growing, some people leave church because they had 1 or 2 bad experiences, or 3 or 4 bad experiences. That's it, child. I can't take no more. This is going exactly how it used to be, how it was where I was last time. I'm out of here, child. And if you look at people's history that move like that, they have a history of going from place to place, watch, and end up having the same problems in every place they went. Let me ask y'all something. If you've been a part of a church, 3 churches in 5 years, if you've been in 3 churches in 5 years, 3 different churches in 5 years, watch, and you left all 3 of those churches in 5 years for the same reason, who's the problem? I'm just saying, even if the reason was, I ain't growing. Because I want to put this out there to you. If in 5 years you were a member of 3 different churches and you left all 3 different churches for the reason of I'm not growing, then we got one or two problems. Either you have a poor sense of judgment that before you even decided to join that church, you could not discern that this was a place that you couldn't grow. Or two, there's some other real issues that you're not being honest about. I know y'all didn't like that right there. I'm just telling you the truth. So I have no issue bucking tradition. You know, many of you stay in churches because you grew up in the church, your folks the pastor, whatever, and you feel like you got to stay. I have no problem bucking tradition. If you want to buck tradition to leave a ministry, to go somewhere where you can grow and develop, I have no issues with that. I do believe as a pastor, you grow to a place where you really understand that your job, as I said earlier, your job is to be as acute in God's word and sharp in God's word and sharp with your perspective as you can be. And when you are, God will continue to give you revelation and knowledge and give you ways that you can pour into people to give them what they need. Listen, there is no greater compliment that I receive every single week, even in this virtual environment, whether it's through text or emails. I get emails every single week, literally, from people who say, Pastor, this word is right on time. This message that you taught, right on time. This series you taught, right on time. You know what that says to me? That says that I'm in tune. You ought to, as a pastor, you ought to be getting those messages, texts, comments, compliments right often, because it says that the things that you pray over concerning the things that you teach and the way in which you go about leading and instructing is really in alignment with what the people need for their current situations, right? So as a pastor, our job is to remain in tune, right? To remain aligned so your messages are relevant. So your messages are giving people what they need, not something you saw on YouTube. You know, so that your messages are giving people what they need, not what some other preacher is giving their folks, right? I don't feed my church what other churches feed their church. You know why? Because the members of my church got a different appetite. The members in that church got a different appetite. The member in that church got a different appetite. The members over there in that church, different appetite. It is up to the pastor to discern the appetite of the people and the needs of the people and to give them what they need based on where they are, right? And so again, the greatest compliment you can get as a pastor is, hey, this word really like, Pastor, I'm telling you, I love it when I get it to my phone. Pastor, you really taught, I needed exactly what you said today. That lets me know that I'm still in tune with the needs of the people, right? That's so important. And as a pastor, when you do that, then understand that some people end up being in your ministry for a reason, and some people end up being in your ministry for a season. And that's okay. Don't take it personal. Pastors, you are pastors, not pimps. You don't tell people where to go. You don't tell people how to go. You don't tell people how to go and come. You don't make people have to check in with you before they go to the grocery store. I'm a pastor. I'm not a pimp. In fact, I don't want y'all to call me at all unless there's a problem. Or there's an issue. Or you just calling to say hello. I don't want to run your life. You got a daddy. You got a mama. And if they are not living, it is still not my job to be your mama and your daddy. I'm not a pimp. So when you understand that people come into your ministry for a reason. Sometimes they come for a season. And then some people come for a lifetime. There are people that will connect with you, that will be with you until the end of that ministry. And I've learned in this what will be 8 years, it'll be 8 years in August. I have learned that in what will be 8 years in August, that people that come into your ministry fall in those categories: reason, season, lifetime. And your job is to remain consistent regardless of the bucket people fall in. All right? Is that making sense, y'all? I hope. All right, good. Let's keep going. I'm getting more messages. Okay, hold on. All right. I hope I answered that question well, y'all. I'm really multitasking on steroids. Listen, y'all, if y'all have not shared this video, I need you to tag 5 people quickly. Come on. Tag 5 people quickly. Share this video. We are answering questions. If you got a question, you can email your question to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, ask me anything. And we're answering questions, and I'm trying my best to get through all of these. All right. Yes. 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 Finally, y'all challenge me. Good. Here's the question. How do I handle my father who does not accept my sexuality? I'm not sure if that's a good question. No, it's a great question. My dad is a pastor as well. I love it. And he sins as well. He absolutely does. But he always seems to throw the Bible at me when it comes to my sin. Let me read this question again. I need all of y'all to stop what you're doing, because finally I got a question that's got my juices going. Y'all be playing with these little weak questions. Give me something to marinate on. How do I handle my father who does not accept my sexuality? I'm not sure if that's a good question. My dad is a pastor as well, and he sins as well. But he always seems to throw the Bible at me when it comes to my sin. Let me answer this question, and I am so grateful for this question. Let me say to the person that submitted this question, first of all, thank you for your courage in asking this question. A lot of churches don't want to talk about homosexuality, sexuality. They don't want to talk about none of that. They just want to shout and take tithes all day. That's it. And rehab, y'all know, I live for these kind of conversations. All right. So thank you for having the courage to ask the question. Now, let me get back. I'm not going to even take my face off the screen, so I'm not looking at me. I want to look at the question. First part of the question was, how do I handle my father who does not accept my sexuality? Here's the answer. You don't. You don't handle your father. Your father's a pastor. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I want you to hear my answer, and I want you to hear my response in love. Your father's a pastor, and nobody should understand the grace of God better than your daddy. Oh, don't y'all get silent on me in these comments. Don't get silent on me. See, nobody should understand the grace of God better than your daddy. So the question is, how do I handle my daddy? He doesn't agree with my sexuality. How do I handle him? You don't. Because the reality is, you're not in error when it comes to this. You're not in error. Your father is. The strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. Y'all don't like this here. And the timeliness of this is Pride Month. And the timeliness of this is so good. I've got a lot of colleagues, professional colleagues, who are celebrating Pride Month. And we have some really good conversations about this. And we don't always see eye to eye on this. Obviously we don't. But man, they enjoy having these conversations with me because they know they can do it with someone who is not only open-minded, but someone who's going to do it in loving grace. And so your father you're not the issue. You don't have to handle your father. Your father has to remember that we serve a God of grace. And that's so important. And your father won't be able to teach grace to his members if he can't teach grace to his kids. Man, I feel like I'm talking in a black hole. Are y'all listening to me? Your father will never be able to teach grace to his members if he can't teach grace to his kids. Now, I want to say this because you put in there, how do I handle my father who does not accept my sexuality? I don't want you to expect your father to accept it, right? Because we have to be careful with the play of words here. Acceptance to some people comes across as agreement, right? And so you or other people may perceive that if he says, yeah, I accept this, that I agree with it. No, he has to be able to accept you and accept where you are, but make it clear to you that he accepts it, but he doesn't agree with it. And that's okay. But even he can accept it and not agree with it without having to throw you away. Y'all, is this making sense? He can accept you without agreeing with your sexuality and at the same time not feel like he got to throw you away. And see, that's the problem. The problem with many church people is that church people feel like if they accept something, they're agreeing with it. I'm going to say this again. That's why some of these folk at church be looking at people upside down and sideways. You know, when girlfriend and girlfriend come in church together, or boyfriend and boyfriend come in church together, be looking at folks sideways. You know why? Because they feel like that if they accept it, they agree. No, just because you accept it don't mean you agree. You can accept something without agreeing with it and still extend the grace of God and the love of God so that those people will want to be around you and still want to come and get your work. Listen, I'm going to say this. I said this because I think a similar question came up on the last time we did Ask Me Anything. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to just tell you straight up, because Pastor knows what's in his congregation. Pastor got a lot of people with sexuality challenges in their church, or who have different sexualities in their church, in his church, that I'm well aware of. Some of them, no, let me take that back. Yeah, some of them have said something to me directly and have expressed it, and we talked about it. Most of them have not. And a lot of them think I don't know, and I do know. But you know why they continue to come back? Because I can accept you without agreeing with your sexuality and extend the grace and love of God to you, and you can still hear my word, because it ain't going to be laced in evil and laced in hatred and all of that stuff. No. Because see, I want to get through this question, because there's so many layers to this onion I want to peel back, and I'm trying not to run out of time because I got some more questions coming in. But I'm gonna hit this right here, because see, the second part was, she said, I'm not sure if that is a good question. My dad is a pastor as well, and he sins as well. No joke. And see, that's the problem. Church people are great at categorizing sin. I'm gonna say this again. Nobody's better at putting sins in categories than church people. Ain't nobody taking notes right now. Y'all quiet. If nothing else, tag 5 people. How many preachers you know talking about this right now? Tag 5 people. Church people are great at categorizing sin. Well, and let me tell you the categories, what they do. These are the sins that send you to hell right away. Sexuality, smoking, drinking, hoeing, i.e. fornication. At rehab, I just say hoeing because they don't know what fornication is. When I say hoeing, they get that. What I say? Sexuality, smoking, drinking, hoeing. There's another one. It ain't coming to me right now. Those might be the main 4. Those are the sins that get you a first-class ticket, from Christians to hell. Here are the ones that they leave out. Lying. Lying is just as bad, if not worse. Here's another one they leave out. Having a bad attitude. You in church, saved, cotton stockings on, doily on your head, no makeup, no earrings, all white on first Sunday, but you just as mean as you can be. You just as nasty and snobbish as you can be. People don't even want to work on your committee because you're so nasty. So they leave off lying. They leave off having a bad attitude. They leave off being inconsistent. I got Bible for that. Bible says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So when you can't be consistent in one thing, it's a good chance you ain't consistent in most of your life. And that's a problem. That can lead to sin. See, so I don't get into the whole, they doing this, that's worse than this, and that's where, This is why, and I probably won't get this question, but this is why I don't do a whole lot of sitting down. I don't do a whole lot of sitting folks down. I just don't. Elder Misty, I don't know if she's on the call, prank me, or call herself trying to prank me. A few months ago, I believe it was, Elder Misty, if you're on the line, they were having a drive-up service. It might have been for my birthday, so it may have been, or the beginning of the year. So I don't know, it was for something. And Elder Misty sitting in my office and said, Pastor, I need to talk to you. And I said, what is it, Elder Misty? She said, well, yeah, I just wanted to tell you face to face, that I'm pregnant. And, Elder Misty's, leads our music department. And she said, hey, I just want to let you know I'm pregnant. I can't believe I allowed myself to have this to happen. And I just wanted to tell you and whatever. And I wasn't about to sit her down. I told her. So she's giving me this fake conversation because they're trying to line the cars up. And then she, tells me to come downstairs, and then it was a whole prank, right? So she's not pregnant. But the point is she used that, to have a conversation. But, I said to her, I hope I demonstrated to you that you can be in church and be flawed too and still be loved by the pastor, by God, and everybody else. And so I got a real big problem with churches and with Christians and believers who categorize sin, who make sexuality be greater than this. Now, I know what the Bible says. God burned up a whole city because of homosexuality. I know he did that. I understand that. But he also confused an entire world's language. Y'all don't like the way I'm talking here. He also confused the entire world's language because people were disobedient and went behind God's back and tried to outsmart him. So let's not get into this game of what's better and what's worse. Let's not get into that. And believers, this question is really for you. It ain't for this young lady that asked this question. I'm excited she asked it. And let me say this to you. When we open up, first of all, thank you for tuning in virtually. But when we open up, make sure you find your way to rehab. I would love to see you. Okay. And ain't nobody going to look at you crazy. Bring your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you got. If you got both, bring them both. I don't care what you got. Bring them. But I hope you will come visit. But believers, this question is real for y'all. Y'all got to stop trying to categorize what people doing. You got to stop. Y'all have to stop doing that foolishness. Because when you try to make it like one sin is better than another one, then what you are in essence trying to do is operate as God, and you can't do it. All right. Let me make sure I hit all parts of that question. But he always seems to throw the Bible at me when it comes to my sin. That's common. Again, that's common. Believers are good at that. We won't look in the Bible for being a liar. Right? We won't look in the Bible and find answers for being mean as hell. We won't look in the Bible for that. Oh, but if somebody's smoking or drinking, the Lord's temple, the body is the temple of the Holy Ghost. I mean, we'll throw scriptures. We'll start taking this oil and pouring the oil and splatting people with oil over stuff that we don't like. We good for that. And so, my dear, the issue is not with you. And I say that humbly, and I say that respectfully, not to disrespect your father. I would never disrespect anybody. I'm not going to disrespect anybody's parents. I'm not going to disrespect another pastor. It's not to disrespect your father or pastor, but understand the issue is not with you. The best advice I can give you is to continue to seek God concerning your life. I believe this. You have to seek God concerning your life and the lifestyle that you live. And God has to deal with you on that. That's number one. Number two, as you seek God concerning your life, find you a church where you can be taught God's word in a way that's plain so you can understand it, but also that's honest and straightforward so you can receive it and grow from it. If you do that, everything else is going to take care of itself. I tell people quickly, I can't deliver nobody from smoking or drinking or whatever you do. It ain't my job. My job is to give you God's word. It is to love you where you are, even if I don't agree with where you are. It is to love you where you are, watch, and let God do the rest. All right? That's a great question. I'm so grateful you asked that question. Y'all, come on. I got a few more minutes. It's 10:23. Wow. That was a quick 50 minutes. If y'all got a question, email it to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, ask me anything. Great question there. Thank you so much. Woo. Good question here. Thank you so much, this brother, for sending this question in. It says this: if a pastor has a vision for their ministry, should those in leadership that are appointed have the same vision in order for the ministry to function? Blank yes. let me state the question again, because y'all really try to pass. I could do this for hours. If a pastor has a vision for their ministry, should those in leadership that are appointed have the same vision in order for the ministry to function? Blank yes. And if you don't, then you should be operating in leadership. And see, this is what I don't understand. I don't understand why people even want to be in leadership roles in a ministry when their vision doesn't line up with the pastor that they serve. I know I said blank. I really want to say the other word, but y'all really talk about me then. It's the truth. I don't understand why people want to operate in ministry, leadership, but they don't have the same vision of the pastor. Look, let's take this secular. Even on your job. If you take a job and you got a supervisor, somebody you report to, and we all have supervisors, guess what? Your vision for your area should align with what your supervisor sees for you. That's just called order. That's called doing things decently and in order. And they should align. But unfortunately, my brother who asked this question, unfortunately for some people, people get in leadership and get a little bit of authority and just completely lose sight of the greater vision. And this is what bothers me sometimes a lot with people and authority. I don't know what it is, but we get a little bit of authority. Like we move up from fries to shakes and from shakes to rapping, and we lose our whole mind. Like our attitude change, the way you speak to people change, your disposition change. I just don't get it. Yes, your vision should line with and the pastor should give you the vision of that ministry. You should know that ministry vision well. There's one thing I can say about Rehab. I've never asked anybody to operate in leadership that did not know my vision for the ministry. Now, that doesn't mean they always executed it. I can say that honestly. Doesn't mean they always executed it. Doesn't mean they got in there, got a little bit of authority and went to their head and they just started doing crazy stuff. Don't mean that. I wish I could say it did, but it doesn't, right? But as a leader, my job is to give the vision and expect with the expectation that leaders that are under me follow that vision, right? Follow that playbook. Follow that book that's going to get us to being the nicest church on the planet, right? The city's church, right? Follow that playbook so that those things can happen. But people tend to get in ministry or in leadership and they lose sight of the vision. And I don't understand that. And so you're absolutely correct. That was an easy question to answer, but I appreciate you asking it because it's so important. And I will say this and take it a step further. You know, if you're operating in leadership in the ministry and you can't follow the vision of the pastor, you probably need to find you a new ministry. And that's okay. And I don't say that like, you know, get out. Like I'm not pulling a Martin saying everybody get out. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is when your vision gets so great that it supersedes the vision that you're under, maybe you need to think about a new place because you're completely out of order when you get to that point. Does that make sense? All right. I got two more questions here and I got 10:27. I can probably get a third question. If you've got a question you want me to answer, you can email it at info@rehabcc.org. Email it to info@rehabcc.org. Subject line, ask me anything. I hope y'all are enjoying this. If you are, fill it up with hearts. I want to know that you're tuned in. I want to know that you're enjoying this. Pastor, I'm so proud of myself. One of the things I've really been working on, especially in this virtual environment, is asking the Lord to just not return me to a petty place. And I'm being honest with y'all. I'm trying not to bust out laughing, but I'm being so serious. I do not want to return to a petty place. And the Lord has really been blessing me in that regard. But some of y'all really trying me this morning because y'all know what buttons to push on, Pastor, and you really trying it. Anyway, I love y'all. Here's the next question. What do you do when you do so much for others that you are spiritually drained and physically drain yourself? Boy, y'all got Pastor preaching to himself today. What do you do when you do so much for others that you are spiritually drained and physically drained yourself, I got a lot of things I can recommend. Because can I tell y'all something about COVID? Let me tell y'all something about COVID and pastor and COVID. I shared this with the board a few weeks ago. I shared it with them actually a couple of times, but the last time, a few weeks. Let me tell you something about COVID. For some reason, everybody thought that the only people that was going through during COVID were non-pastors. Like, y'all, I don't know if y'all realize this, and many of you aren't privy to the software we use for Rehab to do the broadcast, but we don't have some fancy production lights and screen, all that stuff. This approach really works for us in the style of teaching that I have, and it's been very beneficial for us. But I don't think y'all realize this is a one-man show. Like, you know, we were doing a program and I would have Sister Swan identify people to do parts of the program. People would read in scripture and declaration, all that stuff. And then I would just teach. And now I do most of it because people are kind of, you know, hit and miss. But I'm talking a computer screen with tabs, with having to press buttons to put things on the screen, to having to go to another screen where my sermon is and my notes are, to having to look at your comments, answer the questions. Oh, if we get offline, I got to get us back online. I'm doing all of this in an hour and 45-minute format. And I've been doing it since last March. By September, I was ready to throw the computer out the window. Physically drained, mentally drained, spiritually drained. Okay? And not drained because I ain't have a word. Go back and check the replays. I've been preaching some historic messages, teaching some historic but drained because so many different things are pulling. And that ain't even including my personal life and things I got going on personally, right? So it's not even including any of that stuff. And so there are a lot of things that got me through that season. And this is a very important question. The first thing you need to do is you need to learn how to make yourself a priority. I'm giving y'all some practical life stuff right now. First thing you need to do, if you feel like you have done so much for others that you are spiritually drained and you are physically drained yourself, you need to take a step back and make yourself priority. Now, let me tell you what happens when you make yourself priority. When you make yourself priority, people start looking at you like, oh, so it's all about you. Oh, so you only thinking about yourself. Oh, so this has to go the way you want it. See, people get amnesia about how you made them put them first when you start putting yourself first. I can talk about this for hours. Are y'all listening to me? People get amnesia about all the times you put them first when you start putting yourself first. All of a sudden, they magically forget the years, the months that you have put them first because now you've taken a step back and said, wait a minute, I'm going to start putting me first. So one essential thing you need to do is take a step back and start making yourself a priority. Stop feeling like you got to answer every phone call. Stop feeling like you got to respond to every text. Stop feeling like you got to call everybody else first. I'm trying to help y'all. And some of y'all, I said this person in particular, because I know who wrote this question, I even said it to him and he watched me do it. Look, I even got to a point where I was up against it so much during this COVID virtual environment, going through so many things, you know, trying to keep the church afloat, church people in and out, asking me when the church gonna open. They don't even tune in every week, missing, trying to keep the church's bills paid. I've got my own stuff going on personally, switching jobs. I had so many things going on that I had to realize, wait a minute. I ain't even got to respond and try to solve everybody's problem either. That's what we got God for. I'm serious. I'm so serious. See, when you make yourself a priority, if you feel like you always doing for other people that has left you drained spiritually, it's left you physically drained, that means you are making everybody else priority. That means you are always putting the needs of everybody else before your own. And the easiest way to snap out of that funk is start putting yourself first. People ain't going to like it. They're going to call you selfish. They're going to question the God in you. I had people question the God in me because I felt like I ain't have to respond to every text. I ain't have to respond to your drama. No, I ain't got to respond. I got my own problems. I got to respond to that drama. No. And God bless her. I got ministers and elders on staff, and I even, put them on some things to respond to people, and because that's what ministers and elders do. But even still with that, I made it clear to them, you ain't got to take abuse from people. You ain't got to take crazy stuff from people. No. And people, you're supposed to be a pastor, and you won't respond to this. You're supposed to be a pastor, and you won't come to my ice cream day. You can think whatever you want to think. I learned over this COVID environment so many lessons, but one of the major lessons I learned is that if you don't make you a priority, people will continue to use you because you made them a priority. I'm going to say it again. If you don't make you a priority, people will continue to use you because you keep making them a priority. And don't nothing slow all of that stuff down like putting your foot down. Okay, so that's the first thing you can do to get back some of your spiritual and physical strength. The next thing you can do is this, and this is really important, but this is a personal lesson that I've had to learn as well. And that is, don't feel like you got to be everything to everybody. Do not feel like you have to be everything to everybody, because you don't. You don't have to be everything to everybody. And the reason you don't have to be everything to everybody is because when you're not here, the world's still going to go on without you. See, I had to learn over this last year, March, April, May. This last 15 years or 15 months, I had to learn over this last 15 months that I can't be everything to everybody. I can't. And this was especially important for me and true for me, not just being a traditional pastor. I'm not a traditional pastor in the sense that all I do is pastor. No, I'm a professional. I got a whole professional career that's probably bigger than what I do with church. And so I got to balance being a pastor and being, in the professional arena and higher ed and having my own consulting business. So I have a lot to balance. And this thing just hit me like about September when I first got my first therapist, did my first therapist appointment, and found me a therapist who's in Charlotte, who's awesome. And, she really made it make sense. White lady, probably in her 60s, dark hair, but she reminds you, blonde hair, but reminds you of Judge Judy. And she says, Zeb, you don't have to be everything to everybody. Because when you die, people are going to still have them same problems, and they're going to find somebody else to put their problems on. They're going to find somebody else to drop their issues on. Stop trying to be everything to everybody else. Learn how to prioritize yourself. It's okay. That don't make you selfish. You got a track record. Because, we spent some time talking about, things that she wanted to know about me and background. So I shared some things. Boy, you got a track record. Now, she didn't call me boy. This is me talking there. She didn't call me boy. I want y'all to be, what? Why did they call me boy? She did. But boy, you got this track record of helping people and doing all this stuff and doing all this and working these hours and doing all this. Why are you concerned with trying to be everywhere everybody else needs you to be all the time? No. You don't have to be everything to everybody. And so I would say to this person who asked this question, and I don't say this to all of y'all, stop trying to feel like you got to be everything to everybody. That's part of the problem. That's one of the biggest things that will physically and spiritually drain you. When you just feel like you got to solve everybody's problems, and you got to be there, there to the rescue, Superman, Superwoman, whatever. That stuff will wear you out. And in the process of taking care of everybody else, you end up not taking care of you. So what I've done the last 15 months, man, listen, I weighed myself yesterday, y'all. I hope my mama tuned in. I called her yesterday. She ain't called me back. Ma, I don't know where you are if you're on the line. I don't know where you were yesterday. You ain't called me back. But I called my mama yesterday because I got on that scale yesterday. Guess what, y'all? I weigh 168.4 pounds. My goal was to break 170. I weigh 168.4 pounds. The last time I weighed 168 pounds, I was in the 10th grade. Pastor can't fit none of his clothes. All my shirts too big. I put on a suit this week to go start my new job, and the suit that I grabbed was too big. It felt like I was in the 90s rocking one of them oversized suits in the 90s. 168.4 pounds. And let me tell y'all something. I feel great. When I get dressed in front of the mirror and take my shirt off, Elder Misty, the presence of the Lord is there. Working out, I eat. I still eat. I'm not eating. I eat, but I work out. I take 168.4. Some of y'all gonna come out the pandemic and we not gonna be able to recognize who you are. And I don't mean that as a compliment. Some of y'all need to put them Swiss cake rolls down. Put them Golden Corral rolls down and get ready to come back outside again. You hear me? And tune in to Elder Misty's Conscious Eating Show, where she can show you how to eat well. Amen. Elder Misty, you might have to make me a couple of dishes so I can keep this weight where it is. But why, Pastor, how did you get there? Because I made a conscious effort over this pandemic time when people was losing their mind, and there were times where I thought I was losing mine. I made a conscientious effort to put myself first, to prioritize myself some. And boy, when I did that, folk was just, oh, Pastor didn't change. No, I didn't. Pastor woke up. I ain't changed. I'm still kind. I'm still caring. I still believe in giving. I still been given. Ain't nothing changed. One thing did change. I put me first. When you start putting yourself first, everything changes. Great question. All right, y'all, I got one more question I got to answer, and then I'm done. I really appreciate these questions. Y'all kind of took it easy on me today, but it's okay. Last question. Woo! It's a bombshell. I love it. And it's 10:39, and I got to be done by 11. All right. Practical and real life suggestions for a sexually frustrated person, i.e. the lack of sex, whether by choice or force. Again, Pastor, can you offer practical and real life suggestions for a sexually frustrated person, i.e. the lack of sex, whether by choice or force? I think the answer to that question should be twofold. It should be from the perspective of not married, and it should be from the perspective of married. Okay, so let me deal with, gosh, I don't know which one is easier. Let me deal with the not married perspective. If you are sexually frustrated and you're not married, you need to grow stronger spiritually. Now, I'm going to get in trouble for this comment. I know I am. Sometimes I just wonder why God made me this way. I just do. I really wonder why he made me this way. I'm going to get in trouble for what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you're not married and you're sexually frustrated, you need to grow stronger spiritually. But I want to say this to you. Even growing stronger spiritually is not going to be enough to quench your sexual appetite if you have a sexual problem. I'm going to say this again. Even growing spiritually is not going to be enough to quench your sexual appetite if you have a sex problem. Are y'all listening to me? Are y'all listening to me? Because see, if you got a sex issue, you might need to get delivered. Now, I know we don't believe in deliverance no more, but you might need to get delivered, because I'm here to tell you, you can experience God's presence in your life and still have an incredible sex drive and still have an incredible sex desire. And so you may need to get delivered if you've got a sex problem. And I'm talking again from a single perspective. All right. Now, I don't really have time to deal with you single folk and mess with y'all a lot here. But I want to just say this. And this is the way I talk to rehab. No other pastor will probably talk to y'all like this. But I'm going to just talk to y'all the way I talk to my members. I'm not crazy. I know my members are smashing the city. Okay. I'm not crazy. I know my members smash the city. They get down. I ain't crazy. But let me just tell y'all this. Before you get you a husband, before you get you a wife, before you decide to settle down, let me say this to you. You better manage the number of miles you're putting on the car. Manage your mileage. Used cars still got value. But let me tell you something. The higher the miles, the lower the value. Well, Pastor, I'm a Maserati. The same principle's true. Don't ask me how I know. You can shop for Maseratis. Even if you find a Maserati, first of all, you ain't gonna find many Maseratis that got 80, 90, 100,000 miles on them. I mean, if you do, you still gonna pay a little penny for it, but they're not gonna be nearly as valuable as a brand new Maserati. The more miles you put on, the more it attacks your value. So some of y'all, I know it's hot girl summer. Some of y'all can't wait to get back outside, but I'm just telling y'all, you better manage your mileage. Get some spiritual strength, manage your mileage. All right. Now, you married folk, you married and you are sexually frustrated in your marriage. I would suggest to you that you have a serious, sincere conversation with your spouse, with your husband, with your wife. Have a serious, sincere conversation with them because one of the moderators just put manage your mileage on the Facebook. Y'all are something else. I mean it. Manage your body count, your head count. Some of y'all, your head count too high. And it don't mean you can't get somebody with a high head count. But some of y'all you need to slow your head count down. Your body count is just growing by the day. And you need to slow your body count down. Period. Because I don't care how good you are. I'm really trying to behave. I don't care how good you are. That head count high ain't but certain buyers you're going to be able to attract. When that head count high, ain't but certain buyers that you're going to be able to attract. There's a certain kind of person who buys a Mercedes. Well, Pastor, I'm a Mercedes in the sheets. Great. But there's a certain kind of buyer that buys a Mercedes that's got 90,000 miles and another kind of buyer that buys a Mercedes that's got 10,000 miles. Y'all don't like the way I'm teaching. Are y'all catching this analogy or is it going over your head? There's a certain kind of buyer who will go ahead and invest in a $90,000 Mercedes. And a lot of times them buyers, they just happy to have a Mercedes. I could really go somewhere with this analogy. And then there's a buyer who says, listen, if I'm going to get a Mercedes, I don't want 90,000. I'll take 5 or 10, but I'm not doing 90,000. All right. So y'all keep your head count, your body count down. But married folks, y'all need to have a conversation because one of the obligations you have as a married person is to fulfill the sexual needs of the other person. And this is challenging and problematic. I still do a lot of marriage counseling and coaching. I do. One of the things that is really challenging in a marriage is really communicating the needs that you have to the other person. And you all have to communicate those needs to the other person. And I think one of the big danger spots in a marriage is when one or two people begin to withhold themselves from the other person. When one or two people begin to withhold themselves from the other person, you really open up the door for the devil to come in. I'm going to say this again, y'all. If you're married and you hold out, I ain't going to give him none because he ain't been acting right. Or I ain't going to give her none because she got an attitude all the time. When you start down that trail right there, what you're really opening the door for is for somebody else to do what you ain't doing. Now, y'all, I know y'all don't want to talk like this. This is probably too honest for y'all. That's okay. But I was just telling a couple, I'm marrying a couple in July. A young couple. I've been doing marriage counseling for them for the last 3 months, and they're done incredibly well. But I told them, I said, there's a list of about 10 things you really want to make sure you do if you want to keep a strong marriage. And this is based off people who had great marriages. This is based off of people who failed. Just because you had a failed marriage don't mean you can't help people. And I said, one of those things is being very honest about what you need sexually and then fulfilling the needs. Married folk, let me give y'all some free game. Y'all ready for some free game? Watch this. Here's some free game. If you married, every now and then, maybe like once a month. Y'all ready for this free game? Once a month, if you married, let me tell you what you ought to do. And if you got kids, you can still do it. You got kids on that Friday, send the kids to grandma. Send them to grandma. Let them stay with their cousin, the cousin you trust, something like that. Send your kids everywhere. Send them somewhere where you trust. And You and your husband, you and your wife, whatever, go to the store, get some food, things y'all can cook, food, drinks, whatever y'all gonna do. Come back to your house that Friday, and for the whole weekend, have a Smash-A-Thon. I'm not expecting no amens right here. Pastor, what is a Smash-A-Thon? I suggested this to this young married couple that I've been counseling. I suggest this to couples that I'm counseling. What's a Smash-A-Thon, Pastor? That means when y'all get back to the house that Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday till you got to go pick up the kids or go back to work. See how many times y'all can do it. Y'all don't like the way I'm talking. Because see, when you keep your house happy, then people don't be going out straying. Y'all, I quit. They don't want me to teach this, elder. They don't want me to teach this. See, folk be straying because y'all don't be doing stuff like that at your house. I'm trying to Smash-A-Thon. Now, I called it something else with them, but y'all don't even want to hear that word because then the whole broadcast will shut down. But I meant what I said. Have a Smash-A-Thon. That Friday night, all day, I'm talking, only breaks y'all taking is showers. And y'all taking shower breaks and food break, and even in the shower, you preparing. Yes. You ought to do it once a month. Y'all need my CashAPP because some of y'all ought to be sewing into this right here. I just saved your marriage. I literally just saved somebody's marriage. Yeah, big time goals, elder. Big time goals. At least once a month. Some folks saying at least. There are a whole lot of folks, look, Pat, we can do it every other weekend. Big goals. You ought to have a Smash-A-Thon where you literally, from sun up to sundown, y'all watching TV, laying around in the nude. How many times can we get it in? And y'all doing whatever you can. If you got to get you a prescription for that weekend, fellas. If you got to get a prescription for the weekend, I'm gonna keep this rated PG-13. There's so much I can say on this. Fellas, if you got to get a prescription, ladies, if you gotta exercise, I don't know, do what you got to do. But there's no reason for a married couple to be sexually frustrated. I don't care if y'all been together 2 months or I'm not logging off because y'all playing with me. I don't care if you've been together for 2 months or you've been together for 20 years. There's no reason for a married couple to be sexually frustrated. That's what y'all ought to do. Now, if you love each other, that's going to be easy. I mean, you got the counter, you got the couch, you got the deck, you got the car, hood of the car, you got the garage, you got the shower, you got the porch. Be creative. But at least once a month, you ought to have a 24-hour Smash-A-Thon. Try it. You married folk, try that. And then report back to me what result and watch. All of a sudden, during the week, you're going to see him and y'all going to see John passing and you're going to remember the time he had you on the countertop. And you're going to get flashback and it's going to be easier for y'all to do it regularly because you're building this physical currency with each other. It's all right. I know some of y'all Elder said the sky is the limit. I know that's right. The limit ain't the sky. You hear me? You build this physical currency by taking care of each other's physical needs. All right. I'm going to stop right here because y'all are telling me to log off. Y'all don't want me to keep going. Y'all don't want me to keep talking. Look, you know what you signed up for when you came to rehab. Because if I can't keep it real, I'm not going to do it. That's in nothing. I don't care. But let's wrap this up here. Did this bless anybody? Oh, I love that last question right there because, boy, I could have kept going. Y'all remember that. You're welcome. That's free game. 48 hour Smash-A-Thon. Try it. And it'll change your marriage. All right. Any prayer requests? If you've got a prayer request, if this message bless you, if this time bless you, we were together for a whole 2 hours. I didn't mean for it to be this long, but this was just awesome. I love doing this. Ask me anything. It's prayer time. I want you to type your prayer request in the comments right now. If you got a prayer request, guess what, y'all? I'm getting up at 4:30. Shantae, they think I'm crazy. I'm getting up at 4:30 every morning. I pray over your request. And because I'm so used to getting up at 4:30, I'm finding myself now waking up at 3:45, 4 o'clock. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't get a lot of sleep, as y'all can see, the eye bags. I don't get a lot of sleep. But I'm serious when I tell you, every single day but Saturday, I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I pray over your prayer request. And Saturday is a day that, honestly, again, talk about prioritizing yourself. I've learned how to take Saturday as a priority and make myself a priority and do some things for me on Saturdays. And so I'll get up Saturdays about 6:30, and that's late for me, believe it or not. But learn how to prioritize yourself sometimes. But again, I want you to email your prayer request. If you've got a prayer request, if you've got something you want me to pray for, I want you to email your prayer request to info@rehabcc.org or drop it in the chat line right now. Drop it in the chat box. I want to pray over your prayer request. We're getting ready to pray, and God's getting ready to bless you in a tremendous way. All right. So if you got a prayer request, type it now. Come on, quickly. I'm giving y'all 30 seconds because I got to hurry. I got to wrap up in like 7 minutes. I'm running over. I got to wrap up in like 7 minutes. But type your prayer request in the comments quickly. Come on, you got 30 seconds. Good. Prayers for help with consistency. Powerful prayer. When you become consistent in your life, everything in your life becomes consistent. And then you live in a place called expectation. I love that prayer request, Ms. Washington. Thank you so much. Clarity. Thank you so much for that prayer request that came through on Instagram. Come on, quickly. 20 seconds. Type your prayer request in the comments quickly. What I tend to do is go back through the replay on each of our networks. And I don't even listen to myself unless it's a word that is for me. I fast forward to this part and I read your prayer request so that I know what I'm praying for every single morning. Come on, quickly. Good. My daughter, family, pastor, and family. Thank you so much. Complete healing. Good, y'all. Come on, quickly. 15 seconds. Type your prayer request quickly, y'all. I've run way over and I did not mean to do it, but the questions were really so good and right. Quickly, y'all. Come on. Type in your prayer request quickly. If you're emailing your prayer request, again, you can email it to info@rehabcc.org, subject line prayer request. Info@rehabcc.org, subject line prayer request. Email that prayer request so that I can see your request and we can connect this week in prayer all week long. Come on, y'all. Connect your hands like this as a sign, a symbol of faith. Good. Williams and Jennings, Royster family. Absolutely. Strength. Brother-in-law, Tron Johnson, Diane Johnson. Good prayer requests that are coming through. Very good. Y'all, that's it. Keep coming. Certainly praying for Mother Doris. I owe Mother Doris some crab legs, and I got to make that happen. So Minister Carlos, Sister Carissa, I got to make some arrangements with y'all to make sure y'all get her some crab legs on me. So we will work that out. All right, that's my girl. I got to look out for her. Y'all connect your hands like this as a sign, a symbol of faith. I want you to connect your hands like this as a sign, a symbol of faith. Let's touch and agree. Y'all ready? Let's do it. Father, in Jesus' name, I thank you today for this time of sharing. Thank you for your word. Thank you for the questions that came across the line that were very sincere today. I pray, God, that something was said that has challenged someone, maybe convicted someone, that has encouraged someone to see themselves in a different way. I thank you, God, for every challenge and issue that we all face, because they are opportunities for us to grow in the faith, to become everything you've called us to be and more. Now, God, I pray now for every prayer request that's come across this line, whether it's live or on the replay, that, God, you would answer the request of your people, that you would answer the prayers of your people as only you can. God, send strength to families and clarity, heal families, touch bodies and minds and spirits, keep people from having to do surgeries. Whatever the needs are, God, I pray now to these needs and speak to these needs now. We lift them up to you as the one that is the way maker, the miracle worker, the promise keeper. And God, we ask you to answer these prayers as only you can. Make a way out of no way. Let this week be a week that's filled with open doors, new opportunities, brand new favor, brand new grace. Give us the strength, God, to try again, to trust you again until you answer every prayer that we have. We thank you for these things, God. And we count this week as a week filled with breakthrough and miracles. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, type in the comments right now if you prayed with me. It is so. It is so. Come on, type it in the comments. It is so. Every time you say amen, you are saying it is so. Type it in the comments quickly. It is so. It is so. I want you to know that I prayed for you. I prayed for your family. I'm praying for your circumstance. I'm praying for your situation, that God literally is going to answer your prayers. Come on, put it in the comments. It is so. It is so. You're touching and agree. Every time you say it is so, you are touching and agreeing with me that God is going to answer your prayers. As you type that, if you want to dedicate your life to Christ, if you want to be saved today, maybe you heard this broadcast and you've never heard a ministry answer real life questions in a real life way, and this has convicted you to want to give your life to Christ. If you want to be saved, I want you to stop what you're doing. I want you to put the bacon down, put down the hash browns. If you're out to brunch, I want you to put down the mimosa. I want you to put it all down. I want you to stop what you're doing if you want to be saved, because now is the perfect opportunity for you to dedicate your life to Christ. The Bible tells us in Romans 10:9 that if we confess with our mouths and believe with our hearts that Jesus Christ is who he is and did what he did for us, we are saved. Salvation is a matter of confession. So I want to challenge you today. If you want to be saved, if you want to dedicate your life to Christ, I want you to stop what you're doing, and I want you to repeat this prayer of faith with me, because God wants to save you right where you are. All right? Will you do that? All right? If you want to be saved, whether you're watching live or replay, say this with me. Say it. I'm a sinner. I'm not perfect. I have some flaws, and I even have some failures. But I do believe that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin, lived on this earth just like I'm living. He suffered, bled, and died on the cross. But 3 days later, rose again for my sins. Because he lives, I can live, and I am saved. My friends, if you prayed that prayer, I want to welcome you to the royal family of Jesus Christ. I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to dedicate your life to Christ. This is the best decision and the greatest decision you have ever made in your life. And I want to welcome you to the largest family on this earth. And that is the royal family of Jesus Christ. Now, I need you to find you a church home. As churches are starting to slowly open back up, as the public is starting to open back up, I want you to find you a church home that you can be a part of, that you can dedicate your life, your time, talent, and treasures to. Because it is very important that you surround yourself with other believers, not to gossip, not to run other people down, but that you surround yourself with other believers so you can continue to grow in the faith, so that you can continue to build your faith and be everything that God's designed you to be. That's what church is for. Church is not a country club. Church is a place where you should be able to grow with other believers and build strength from other believers. So find you a church home somewhere. Maybe that church home is going to be near you. Maybe you need to join that church virtually, but find that church and be a part of that ministry. Maybe you're tuned in and Rehab is a place that you want to be a part of. We would love to walk alongside you in this journey that is your spiritual growth, that is your spiritual development. If you want to be a part of the Rehab Christian Center, whether you live in the Greensboro area, you may live in Texas or California. It doesn't matter where you are. You can join our church and be a part of our church, even in a virtual space. If you want to be a part of our members, our church, and a member of our church, just simply type in the comment box, membership. Just simply type in the comment box, membership, and one of our moderators will see that comment, reach out to you, and get some information. And we would love to, even in the virtual space, welcome you to what I call the nicest church on the entire planet, the Rehab Christian Center. We're not the biggest church. We don't have a lot of members. We're not the loudest church. We're not the flashiest church. But if we ain't going to be nothing else for as long as we survive, we will be the nicest church you've ever attended before. And I believe in that. And so if you want to be a part of our ministry, just simply type in the chat box, in the comment box, membership, and a moderator will reach out to you, get that information, and certainly welcome you to our ministry. Great, great. Some people are typing membership. How? This is powerful. We're so grateful for that. So grateful for you, young lady, and so grateful for those of you that are typing membership. So grateful to have you, and so grateful to have you be a part of our ministry. Listen, y'all, it's giving time. It's giving time. I want to challenge you to give. If this message, if this ministry, if this broadcast has been a blessing to you, I want to challenge you to give. I want to challenge you to give today. Again, this is Super Sunday. This is Super Sunday. Every first Sunday, we give a $99 super seed. We give a $99 super seed every first Sunday. And this seed is more important today than it has ever been. As we're gearing up and making plans to have some type of phase return back into the building, it is critically important that you continue to support the way you do. And so I want to challenge you to give today your super seed, $99 super seed, to give your tithes, to give your offering. It has been those things that have sustained us as we've been in this virtual environment for 15 months. I want to challenge you to give today in a special way. You can give one of three ways. You can give via CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. That's CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give through our website by visiting www.rehabcc.org and choose online giving. That's www.rehabcc.org and choose online giving. Or you can text REHABWORKS. Text REHABWORKS to 88202. Text REHABWORKS to 88202 and right to your cell phone. You'll get a prompt. You can follow the prompt and you can give right from your cell phone. Again, whether it's your $99 seed, whether it's your tithes and offering, whether it is both, I want to challenge all of you today to give, to sow into this ministry that I know has been a blessing to you. And I promise you, God will continue to bless you in a tremendous way. Again, via CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give via CashAPP, $REHABCCGIVE. You can give on our website, www.rehabcc.org. That's www.rehabcc.org. Or you can give via cell phone by texting REHABWORKS to 88202. Text REHABWORKS to 88202 and right to your cell phone. You follow the prompts and you can give right from your cell phone. And I promise you, God will bless you because of how you've given to us. And again, I can't say this enough. Thank you so much to those of you, especially our virtual members, people I've never even met before, who have consistently given to us week after week and sustained our ministry to allow us to continue to pay the bills. The bills have not stopped, unfortunately, during COVID, but allowed us to continue to pay the bills and do what we do here and ministering to you every Sunday and every Tuesday. And so I'm grateful for your support. And I want to challenge you again today to give and give in a special way and watch God bless you. How? Good measure, pressed down, shaking together, running over. He's going to do it. Listen, y'all, I love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. I'm rooting for y'all. If you have not already, make sure you like this video on whatever network you're on, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Like this video. I want you to share this video. Tag it 5 people. Tell them to check out this video, to check out the Q&A that we had today for a very interesting and entertaining and thought-provoking conversation. And then do me a favor. Make plans to meet me Tuesday, 7:08 p.m. right here. Tuesday, 7:08 p.m. for our life study. We call Bible study life study because as if you cannot tell, we really deal with real life topics and issues from a spiritual perspective that will help you grow and mature into the woman, the man of God that you've been called to be. And so I can't wait to see you Tuesday, 7:08 p.m. right here at the Rehab Christian Center. Make sure you like this video, share this video with 5 people, and then make plans to meet me back right here Tuesday, 7:08 p.m. right here at the nicest church on the planet. Listen, I love you guys. I'm praying for you. I'm rooting for you. I want you to have a phenomenal week, and I will see you Tuesday. All right? Keep your mask on. I know they're opening up outside, but when you're in public, crowded places, enclosed places, put your mask on. Everybody does not have the shot, and I want you guys to be very careful. All right? Do that for me. All right? I love you guys. I'm praying for you. Peace and blessings.
Thank you for watching the Rehab Christian Center live experience. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you and you would like to be a blessing to our leader, Dr. Zeb Talley III, you can sow a seed into his ministry by CashAPP at $Pastor ZT3. It is our prayer that this message of hope encouraged, enlightened, and empowered you to be better. Please tune in Tuesday at 7:08 p.m. for our life study experience. And as always, be blessed and have a wonderful week.